H3 TV, where we talk about weathering the storms of your life with hope, health, and happiness. Right before I turned on the screen, I realized I'm wearing black and white, and I never wear black and white. I always like to come to you in color, like the oranges and blues and greens of my bookcase. I love to bring color into your life. But today, this dress was the one. So hopefully, the conversation will be colorful and you will enjoy that. I started H3 TV as a talk show during COVID to help reach people that were feeling stuck at home, to remind them that even though we all go through hard stuff, some more than others, but all of us stories and struggles in life, there's always hope, health, and happiness. And so I love to come to you every week with a different guest and talk about how have they weathered their storms? How do they stay hopeful, healthy, and happy? Today I have with me Robert. Please help me welcome Robert to the stage. Hey, Robert, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Annie. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for being with me today. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where do you live? What do you do?
Thank you. My name is Robert Lediger. I'm retired. I was a U.S. Navy veteran. I was military police for almost 7 years. And then I went into federal law enforcement, and I was with the U.S. Marshal Service in Eastern District of New York, which is Brooklyn. And I went up and became a supervisor in the Fugitive Warrant Squad, working investigations, looking for like America's Most Wanted, the worst of the worst. Now being retired from government service, I live in Sarasota, Florida. But as you can tell from my accent, I'm from Queens, New York, but I'm trying to get that Florida accent going. But it's tough at times.
Yeah, for sure. I was watching a show the other day, Tanked. I don't even know if you know it, but it's like these guys from New York that moved to California, and they make the most amazing aquariums. They turned a refrigerator into an aquarium. Anyway, thank you for your service. Thank you so much for serving our country and serving our people and being a peace officer and trying to bring peace into the hard things in life. I'm sure, Robert, you have seen many storms in your life. But when you think of that word, like going through a storm, what do you think of as storms? What identifies in your mind?
Well, for me, it's a very personal matter that I went through in my career, and it was toward the end of my career. I had about 5 years left in my career where I was going to retire. But what had happened was a young lady who worked for me came to me, and she made a complaint that she was being sexually harassed, bullied, and actually was assaulted by another coworker, which happened to be what they call team members to an investigation team that she worked with, like of marshals and local police out in Long Island. So that was really hard, and I had to get her through that, and brought it forward to the leadership. And what had happened after that is the leadership tried to cover it up and ignore what happened and just say it was like office cultural events or something going on instead of the actual incident that it was. And then people had made all these false allegations about me being a bad supervisor, that I was actually a racist, and I was a criminal, and I was going through marital problems with my wife. So it was crushing, to see my own agency come after me and not believe me when we had this young lady who brought it forward. And it's a feeling, so a storm for me is like being betrayed. We're going through betrayal, from my own organization, my own leadership that was supposed to be there and just follow, the rules, the policies and it's hard, it's weird to say, but it's a very simple policy. So when somebody comes forward and says that they're being harassed or discriminated or actually assaulted, you're supposed to act on it in good faith and, go with an investigation, listen to the person who brought it forward, find the truth and the facts where it was on her side, and then handle it. It just went the whole other way.
I think it's very hard, Robert, to be the voice for the voiceless. And yet I believe we're all called to that. It's a big part of my work, working with workplace culture. So I commend you on being brave enough to speak up. The other thought that comes to my head as you're talking is haters are going to hate. and workplace culture, or let's just laugh off the racism, the remarks, the side. It's no big deal. This is how we do it. For you to stand up, especially in a culture that is a bit of a man's club, right? More dominant male, speak up and have that voice is brave. And unfortunately, people get attacked for doing the right thing. So I'm sorry you went through that. I'm glad that you listened to this woman. I'm glad she had you and you spoke up. And sometimes we do get persecuted or judged or talked bad about in stories made up, rumors made us for doing the right thing. But I hope you know in the depth of who you are that you did the right thing, right? Like no matter what, this was the right thing.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. But if I could add more to that, is the young lady I defended is also a veteran. She was in the U.S. Army, and she went on to become, law enforcement also. So she went through all the training and all the schooling that she had to do. And, she worked for me, and I entrusted her with so much. And she did some great work. And just to add to that, which makes it should not matter, but in today's world and culture, it does, is that she is a lesbian, and she is an open in the public lesbian. And these men did not want to take direction or order or command from her. Number one, being a female. Number two, being a lesbian. Number three, she was a U.S. Marshal. So she was in charge of the team. And these guys treated her like garbage.
Yeah. They disrespected her, dishonored her, and you gave her respect as a human being. And that's what all of us deserve. And I appreciate you standing up. And we call it, my friend Cheryl and I, standing in the gap. When people don't have a voice and you stand up and say, hey, nobody deserves to be bullied, but she does not deserve to be bullied, and she deserves to be listened to because she was ahead of them. She was commander, right? Like she's above them. One thing I forgot to say to the show is if you have questions for Robert or I throughout the show, put them in the chat. We'll try to get to them. If we don't get to them all, please put them in the comments after the recording and we will follow up with you with answers. So thank you for that. So in that storm, Robert, how did you stay hopeful in the midst of that? How did you, adversity coming toward you, adversity had come toward her and was probably continuing, and you're like, you got to move forward. And here you are in your lifelong career. How did you stay hopeful in the midst of all those challenges?
Well, besides the young lady, and her name is out there, her name is Dawn, her, confiding in me and being there. And, it was like, we were like brothers and sisters and coworkers. And even though I was her boss, she was a friend and a person. So with her coming to me and I'm not a counselor, I'm just a regular guy. I would talk to her and she's opening up crying to me. It's like a little sister. So, I grew up, I have a little sister, and you're not going to mess with my sister, that's it. But it was my wife who said it to me on the one day, and she just came right out. And it's like the best sentence in the world. She's like, I'm so proud of you for protecting Dawn. That was it, man. That was it. That was like, all right, I'm getting hit with, flaming tarred arrows here. And, I'm still walking through it. Yeah. And then with all the help and the support of my chief, my boss in the district, had my back from till today, and all coworkers and friends and family, everybody being there, and, you go forward. And when you get good people, honest, smart people and helping you, I didn't do anything wrong, and then, like I said before, being portrayed by my own government, my own agency. And then to find out that they, I had 2 months before I could retire, and they came at me so hard, and they were like, hey, we found that you violated Dakota professional responsibility, and we're going to terminate you. We're going to fire you 70 days before you can retire during this pandemic. And even though we're all not working in the government, we're all teleworking, and, you have nothing going on, and you have more annual leave and sick leave on the books that you can use up. But no, we're going to get rid of you. You're a problem. And I committed no crimes. I broke no laws. I was never arrested. It was just, they look and look and look, and they dig things up and they pile it on and they retaliate against you. And it happens. It's a true story. And I have everybody knowing that and seeing that.
I'm glad that you stayed hopeful. I think that the keys here, Robert, is that because there is always piles of negativity. There's always, storms and challenges don't come like just one and deal with it. And when you're done, everything's going to be good. They come in layers. And sometimes they keep coming and coming and coming, whether it's people coming at you. But two things you said that I think are so significant is, and I know this has been a huge prayer of gratitude for me lately, is having a partner to walk through those storms with. And not just a partner to walk through, but your wife had your back. She supported you. She believed in you. She was proud of you. So that is hugely significant. So having one significant person that believes in you and knows your heart and knows you're good, but then also having a community. You said, I did have coworkers. I did have chief. There were people against me, but there were also people for me, and they are still for me today. And I remember that. And I'm so sorry that happened to you, because it's not okay. You've served your whole life, and now you got 70 days left to get a nice retirement,
Right.
and they're trying to get rid of you. And hopefully in the future, somehow that will smooth out, and that won't be how it all plays out for you, because you have served. And how did you stay healthy? One thing I know about storms is that stress gets in our body, gets in our head. It makes it hard to sleep. It can make us sick to our stomach. And so it's so important to take care of our physical, mental, and emotional health as we go through storms. So what were some of the strategies or tools you used to take care of yourself through this adversity?
Well, the first thing is, thank goodness we live in Florida, because it's always good weather. So what I did, and because you get the demons that get in your head.
Yes.
And everybody goes through different thoughts, and you listen to different things, and you read different articles. So I would get up. I was always out walking, and I would walk and run 5 or 7 miles a day. And I would go at the worst time of the day, at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when it's the hot, and I didn't care. I had to get out and do something. And then my wife started coming with me, but then she put her foot down. She's like, we're not walking in the middle of the day here. It's either 7 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock at night. So, but we would walk. But, my wife is Italian Irish from New York, from Queens, and she's an inch taller than me. She's absolutely beautiful. And she would want to speed walk. And I'm like, I can't, I'm not running, 7 miles with you. So, but we would listen to music. We loved music. We loved the 80s new wave music. We're like little kids, and she's awesome. I mean, I think I dig her more than she digs me. We have a great relationship. We've been together for 25 years. She can, call it out when she sees it. And she was there every day till today. We still have a great relationship. She's with me. She knows it's wrong, but we just keep moving forward. And besides doing that and walking, going out there, I never went, I didn't take medication. I didn't take drugs. I didn't go to alcohol. And I'm not, I'm Catholic, but I'm not religious. I didn't lean so onto God. My wife is religious. She prays, and she was there for me. And I just stayed focused, and I went through it. And, yes, it's hard times, and it's horrible, but you can overcome it. You really can. And you gotta know in your heart that you told the truth, and you have the facts on your side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Telling the truth, living in truth. You don't have to remember it, right?
Right.
I just want you to know, people that pray are not religious. Religious is a denomination. People that pray are about faith. It means they have a strong faith in God and in you. So they're praying protection and blessing over you. So I love that your wife is a woman of faith. I'm a huge believer, Robert, that movement is medicine. Movement is medicine. It releases that stress so that we don't hold it in our body. So that is excellent. And you did it, you sweat it out too, which is also a great release. Getting those toxins out of your body. It might seem silly, but I remember when I first started working out with my trainer that we used to have gyms, and he would be like, I'm like, I don't sweat. He's like, you don't work out hard enough. I'm like, dang it. So I had to learn, like, work out, push yourself harder. But sweating is such a great release. Movement is medicine. Music is medicine. And I'm such a believer that I know some people need medication, but when you can do movement and music instead of pills that have side effects, you can heal so quickly. I just went out for a jog this morning. I jokingly say my youngest will be 25 this week. And we have a mailbox 1.5 miles away. So I was like, I'm going to do interval jogs. I do not go fast. I do not go far. I walk a block, but it felt so good. Like, it's just a release, right? Like, get that stress out of you and into it. So I love that. I don't think we have to be religious. Religion is denominations, Catholic, Lutheran, to be faith-filled and to trust that God is going to protect you through this and has blessings for you. And it sounds like your wife trust that. And I love how you love your wife. Beautiful. My husband, I jokingly say, I always say, you're so lucky to have me. And he's like, you're so lucky to have me. And we've been doing that for 30 years. And just last week, he said to me, actually, you know who's really lucky? And I was like, who? And he's like, our kids, because they have us and we love them so much. And I'm like, ah, that is beautiful. They are lucky, dang it. So
Yeah, that's awesome. We are, well, unfortunately, we don't have children. We tried for a long time. It didn't work out, but we have a dog.
hey, that's a
Who,
kid.
that's the best thing in the world. Yeah, she's awesome.
We had two. We just lost one, and they love you to death. And
Yeah.
they're more work than kids because they don't grow up and go to college. They're just here and feed me and change me and clean up my poop. And also, you said sunshine, and I dreamed of living in Florida for 30 years because when you live in the Midwest or when you live in New York, you can hibernate for 6 months, right? It's cold and it's dark and it's great, but every day here it's sunny. Like the sky, I'm looking out my window, the sky is bright blue, the grass is green, it's colorful, it's alive, and there's an energy in Florida of activity instead of are you going to move today? It's how. Will you golf? Will you walk? Will you jog? Will you play pickleball? Right? Like people are just active, and that's such a wonderful thing. How about how do you stay happy? Where did you find laughter and joy in the midst of this storm and this stress from it?
In the beginning, it was really hard, but you have to push it out of your head. How I did it, I don't know. I think it was more because of my wife. We didn't sit around. She gave me like a week to feel sorry for myself. And then that was it. I had to keep moving and going out. And then being down here in Florida, we have a lot of great friends and a lot of people that I actually were coworkers in New York and retired and came down here. But we just stayed together with each other and went out, even though it was on my mind all the time. You got to get out of the house. You got to go socialize with people. Even if you're in a conversation that you can't think through, just do it, and entertain yourself and go to the beach and go for walks, like I said, and just be together with each other and still go. Like we dig music. We go to concerts. We go to comedy clubs. We went to, hockey games in Tampa. It's like you gotta do it, or else you're gonna sit there. You can't sit on the couch and cry every day and feel sorry for yourself because nobody's feeling sorry for you but you. So move and become good at it and do things.
Yeah.
So
I love that you said, even though there were times you couldn't think. And I think people forget that when we're going through a storm or a trauma, even though we're present, we're not necessarily processing everything people are saying to us, but we're still showing up, right? And seek it out. Go to a comedy club, go to a concert. I think laughter, music, and movement, to me, those are like, if everybody moved their body, laughed, and listened to good 80s music, then they'd be happy all the time, right? Is there anything, it sounds like you still are going through parts of this storm, but is there anything as you look back since, when did this happen in 2020? You said during COVID. Is there anything you wish you would have done differently when you look back now that you wish you would have known or done?
Yes, I wish at times I wasn't such a New Yorker because I talk before I speak. Before I think. And I wish I would have reserved some words before coming right out and saying anything, because that's what, I say what I want to say. And I say, I'm not intimidated by titles, and people forget where they come from. And, I don't regret defending her. I don't regret my decisions with even helping people and to pile on against me. I don't regret it at all. I did the right thing, and I know I did. And there's too many smart professional people that saw that and told me that. But no, I don't regret what I did at all. And I'm very grateful for how things are going now for me and my wife. And, I'm still involved with a legal battle to get, some financial closure. But I am so happy to say that, I did retire. I did retire with 32 years of government service, and I got my full pension, and I got my medical benefits. And, thank goodness that I was able to connect with some people who are so smart and helped me. And I did it, and I'm here today to say that you can do it. And, my wife doesn't like when I say this, but, I used the government against the government, and I did it all legal and proper and the right way. And we're coming out on top. So thank goodness for that. And now, to keep going on, is that the young lady that I defended, Dawn, now she's defending me. So you stay connected when you, like you said, you can't make up the truth. You don't have to think about that. It's there. And I don't have to make anything up. It's all there.
That's beautiful. I love that. Oh, you made me think of a whole bunch of things and they went in and out of my head because you just told me that about Dawn. But I just think many, if not all of us in our life have felt judged or criticized as a woman. As I was a single mom, I was a woman. There was a lot of times people had prejudice against me. I'm a woman of faith. Not everybody loves that. There's a lot of things, but you became the voice for a woman. And she represents not just her, but so many women in male dominated industries, in government, in military, that are so afraid to speak up for the retaliation or for people not believing them. And I just know that all my listeners want to say thank you to you. Thank you to you for being a voice. Thank you for being an advocate. Thank you for being brave enough, because you could have been like, Dawn, you're fine, figure it out, and ignore. You could have. And unfortunately, that happens a lot. I know how often that happens in many arenas. And I've heard so many stories over my years that people, they try to tell someone, and then finally they're like, well, I guess I just have to put up with it. No, you do not have to be put up with. You need to have boundaries. You need to know when to leave. You need to know when to speak up. And unfortunately, we need to know when to hire a lawyer too, because there are times that we need to pay someone to be our voice. You, by the kindness of your heart, were willing to be the voice and do it is the right thing. To me, I don't even know how people debate. I don't want to get involved, or I don't want to speak up. Oh, I know what I was going to say to you. You made me laugh, because the majority of my life, I lived in Minnesota. I also lived in Illinois, and I was born in California, but I am so not a Minnesotan. Like, I always speak and then think about it. I always have an opinion. And people are like, are you from New York? Are you Italian? I'm like, I don't, in my head, but no, I don't know how to be like, okay, that's nice when it's not nice. Right. So, but I also understand it's not a regret, but there's times that I wish I would have paused, thought about something, processed before I had a response, even if it was the same response, to make sure that I was confident and clear in the response, especially when I'm representing someone else's voice or trauma. And so I appreciate that we don't have to regret that. And obviously you did a great thing, but we learn from it. Like, oh, this is a really big thing. Maybe I can pause for a moment before I move forward. How are you today using some of these lessons either to help other people or this experience you went through to be a voice for more people?
Oh, it's awesome. I like doing this now, speaking with you. This is therapy. This is the best thing in the world, is to speak about it and talk about it. In the beginning, I was very afraid to do anything, but then so many people found out about me and are grabbing my story, and it's great. And I love that. I don't love that I went through this, but I love what's coming out of it, is that people are calling me now for help and guidance and advice. Mm-hmm. And even my lawyers, I mean, they're great guys. And they call me, they're like, hey, we want to share some of your legal documents with some potential clients now, or people that need help. I'm like, hell yeah, do it. And I have different contacts now that reach me out. They're like, hey, there's another marshal who is jammed up, or there's a cop who's jammed up, or, there's a veteran, can you speak to him? That these people have suicidal thoughts. I'm like, what? I'm like, no way, man. Don't let them get to you. You can win. You can come out ahead. And people stress out so much because it comes down to people like me who you've accomplished something. You had a title. You went to the military and law enforcement. So it's your ego, and you feel shame and embarrassment. But it's money. You need money to survive, and you got to go out there and provide and protect your family. And that's what I did. And I wasn't going to leave my wife. I wasn't going to hurt myself at all. I was like, I got to make sure she's okay, and that was it. I still had to be her bodyguard, and that's it. So.
And also just speaking with you, thinking about our listeners, is that people get bullied on the playground. Kids get bullied on playgrounds. People get bullied in their home in domestic violence. But to be bullied by the government is huge. And all of those are huge. I'm not saying they're not, but I think it's so intimidating that it takes a level of confidence and bravery to step forward, to speak and say, this isn't right. This isn't fair. This isn't okay. And I am so grateful. It's so horrible what happened to Dawn, but I'm so grateful that she felt safe enough to come to you. And I think through all the pain and trauma, you will both help people in the future so they don't have to experience having racism, having sexism, being bullied, being assaulted, whatever it is, because they will find their voice and they will recognize your willingness to step forward, though not easy, was definitely worth it. And so I just love everything that you did, Robert. And I speak on a lot of different things, but I was speaking at a conference once on Be the Exception about rewriting your story. And this man came up to me afterwards crying and he said to me, "Can you be my best friend?" And I was kind of laughing and I was like, "Tell me why you want me to be your best friend." And he goes, "I really believed my whole life that I deserved the abuse I received. I deserved to be teased. I deserved, because I was gay and I was different. And you reminded me that I don't deserve any of that. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be valued, that I have so many gifts, and everything that happened to me to this point is not okay." And anyway, we just had this thing. And I think you're like rewriting her story. Like Dawn already knew she didn't deserve this, but you validated it. And in validating another person's worth is an enormous gift. And too many people go through this life not knowing that they have value and having enough people tell them they don't, that they start to believe that. So I love that you valued Dawn and became her voice and stood in the gap. So what else do you want? What did we leave out? Something that you want to share? You're talking to a lot of people right now. What wisdom do you want to bestow on those people that are afraid of the government? They're afraid of being bullied in their position. They're being harassed or assaulted or both. And they want to step forward, but they're terrified, or they've tried and people didn't believe them. What sort of encouragement do you have for them?
It comes down to a quote that a young lady gave to me before I had to go to my interviews with Internal Affairs. She's like, it's okay to be afraid. You're about to do something brave, and you are. You're telling the truth. And today, that's an act of bravery, because there's so much negativity and bad things happening out there, and you see it every day. And now it's being exposed more and more. And I'm not political, but I have the support of both sides of the aisle, even the independents supporting me, because I just stepped up and told the truth, the right thing. And people came after you, and they labeled me as a whistleblower. But, I like the title being called a truth teller. Like, I just told you what happened. I confronted the men that went after Dawn, and we were going to get into fist fights. I mean, I had to protect my family, and that's it. You came forward and did the right thing. And it's sad that we talk about and say today's government, like people are telling lies to hurt people. For what? It makes no sense. And something I go back on just kind of lately now, and I saw it on ESPN, is they showed 1991 Whitney Houston singing a Star Spangled Banner at the Super Bowl. And what happened? Why today is the Star Spangled Banner racist? Why do we hate everybody? Why? What? Whitney Houston was a pretty Black woman. She came out in sweatpants to sing the Star Spangled Banner, and grown men were crying because they were so proud of that. But now, today, do we not like Whitney Houston? Do we not like the Star Spangled Banner? Why? Why do we come up? It's a lie. Like, why do that? Why not have, like you just said, faith and belief and hope that this is a good thing? Because it is. You're showing camaraderie with everybody, so you should want that. And that was the same thing I saw as being in law enforcement in the military. It was great. There was so much camaraderie, and we were doing a good thing. We were going after bad people.
Yeah.
Not that the good people were really the bad people to me. Like, what? Like, what happened here? And if I was so bad, and I'm not an angel, I'm not perfect. My wife corrects me every day and tells me that. I get in trouble every day at home. But I'm still with her. She still loves me, and she still knows that I'm a good guy. The lady Dawn, like I said before, is now defending me. We're still friends. We're still partners. We're still connected. So I'm that. Your people are that bad. For telling the truth.
Yeah.
So
I like the title truth teller too. I would say just give yourself that title. Is like, I'm a truth teller, and I'm brave, and I'm a protector. And one thing earlier you said, and I'm sorry that you couldn't have children. You said, we tried, it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say this to you, Robert, is that you are a protector of Dawn. And though I don't know her age or your age, and you're probably not old enough to be her dad, but in some ways that was your family. That is, maybe you didn't get to have children that you raised, but you still have people that you care for that are your family to you. And I think that is such an important thing to remember. I'm a birth mom, so sometimes people go through adoption, some people don't raise children, some people have pets, and some people have enough love to protect over those they work with or they live by. And that's what you have. And you've created this family unit, not just through this experience, but it sounds like way before this experience. And I know it to be true, because if you weren't that person, Dawn would not have felt safe coming to you. But because you treated your coworkers and your team as family, they felt safe. And that is about workplace culture, is loving and caring about the person, not just as a coworker and what they can benefit the organization, but as an individual human being. And that's what you did for Dawn. And that's a beautiful gift. And there's no gift greater really than to be the voice and the protector of another human or animal in this world. To me, I think that's why we're created. So I appreciate that about you. So Robert, I know you have great wisdom and courage. And as you said, people are reaching out to you. So I know people are going to want to reach out to you. So what's the best place and way to connect with you? If someone's like, hey, Robert, I want to bounce something off you. Like, I'm going through this situation, or somebody came to me and I'm scared to go forward because I might lose my job as they lost theirs, as you lost yours. How do I do it? What is the best way to connect with you, Robert?
Right now would be LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn just under my name, Robert Lediger. And I'm on there a lot, and I'll get the alerts, and I definitely will reach out to anybody, and even just to discuss anything, or if anybody, Q&A back and forth. I'm all for it, and definitely would talk with whoever wants it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being with me, Robert, today. Thank you for being flexible on our scheduling, and thank you for having a generous heart and a voice in the world that we need truth, and we need people that will speak up and stand up for those that can't stand up for themselves. So thank you so much. Thank you to our listeners, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.